Hi everyone, Barbara Rankin here today with another project for the video creator team. Today I have a couple of mixed media cards that I'd like to share with you. I'm beginning with a Strathmore 12 by 12 piece of acrylic paper, and I've chosen these colors of dimensional paints called Radiant Gels to start out making my background. I'm going to start with the Periwinkle Radiant Gel. These are very thick and luscious paints, so I'm using a lot of water to thin it to a watery consistency, almost a watercolor consistency. And now I'm using Celedon. You can see I continually dip my brush into the water. Now I'm using the Yellow Rose Radiant Gel, and I'm just kind of spreading the colors around, dipping my brush in the water as I need to. And now I'm using the African Jade. This is probably my most favorite color. And I'm just continuing to blend the colors, adding water to the mixture. Every now and then you'll see me do a swirling motion with my paints because it's so thick that I'm trying to get that watered down consistency, and then I take my brush and do more straight strokes and blend the colors together a little better. But in this case I'm just trying to get a watercolor background using the Radiant Gels. But the Radiant Gels, the nice thing about using them first is that they dry more permanent. So when I go to use my water-based Twinkling H20s, which I'll be doing in the next step, I won't actually remove any of the color that I've put down. It will stay just as you see it when we're done. And I'm just going back and forth, adding colors and blending with the water. And of course I dried it with my heat tool because I'm impatient. But what I want to show you here is that I'm spritzing water all over the background, and it's not moving. It's pretty permanent. I'm not sure I dried it completely because I am getting a little bit of paint on my cloth there, but not very much, as you can see. So now I'm going to do some resist stamping. I'm using a Crafty Individual stamp, and I'm stamping it with the Versamark ink, which is clear so you won't be able to see it on the camera. And then I'm covering it with the clear embossing powder. I want to be able to see the colors that I've put on the background beneath my embossing, so that clear embossing powder will dry clear and allow you to see the colors shine through. And I've just embossed both of these stamps, stamping randomly over the background and heat embossing with the clear embossing powder. This will give me a nice resist design, and when I add my Twinkling H20s, it will bring out that texture. And now you can see the images as I've add the powder, but then after I emboss it and it goes clear again, it'd be hard to see on the camera. And after I get everything covered with the embossing powder, I will heat it with the heat tool. Now that everything's dry, I'm going to spritz the background with water because I'm doing a real watercolor background now with the Twinkling H20s. And I'm brushing on first the ocean wave, then the bluegrass, next comes the sunflower, and the wild plum, moss green, blushing caramel, and rose petal. And I will go back and forth between the colors, adding and just kind of mixing and seeing what colors I can come up with. The fun thing about the Twinks is that they allow you to do this. There just are no mistakes with the Twinks. And I am using a lot of water. When you see my brush go off camera, I'm actually dipping it in the pot of water that is just off camera. And I'm drying it with the heat tool, but not too much. I don't want to reheat that embossing powder. But I did take a paper towel and picked up most of the water moisture that was on the background. And now I'm going to dry it much better. And now to add just tiny little bits of color. I wanted the colors to be more true and they're in their natural color. So I'm adding that in areas where I think it will show up well. First, this is the rose petal. And then I'm adding a little bit of the wild plum. This is a very deep, rich color, so I am dabbing some of it off with the paper towel and adding water. And now the moss green with water and dabbing with the paper towel. A little sunflower twinks. This is a beautiful warm color, and it adds such a nice richness and warmth to the background. A little more blushing caramel. And this dabbing motion is really kind of cool because it gives you it adds so much interest to the background, just doing that little dabbing bit of color. And I think as you can see, it looks really kind of nice. And now that my background paper is dry, I'm going to cut that 12 by 12 piece of paper into 6 pieces that measure 4 by 6. And I will attach them to cards that will measure 4.5 by 6.5. So off camera, I die cut 3 heart shapes with the Sizzix die. And now I'm reactivating my Twinks by adding water to each of the little pots. On the first heart, the largest, I'm using the wild plum, and it looks like a little bit of green, a little bit of the blue, the yellow, the pink, and just whatever you colors you wish to use. They're all, as long as you stay within this color range I've laid out here, you'll be fine. And then I dried it with my heat tool. And I decided to add a little extra color on the edge, so I used the leaf green archival ink because it's waterproof, and it added a nice color to the edge. And here's a still photo. And here are the 2 cards that I made. The first one is using a note card that I cut the image off the front and reused. The second one, there are the 3 hearts that I used with pop dots and a few gems. The wording that's on the cards is from a sticker. They are clear stickers. And here is a lineup of the Twinks in the order that I used them. Here's a picture of the background. And I hope you enjoyed my project today and will be inspired to try making some beautiful backgrounds for your cards. Thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful and very creative weekend. And I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as well as giving me a thumbs up. Thanks again.